What's up, Inkie peeps? It's Adele from Inkie Quill, and today we're doing a bulk session in my junk journal. As you can see, I've got quite a few pages to go, and I'm really trying to finish it off. One of my scrappy resolutions, for 2018 was to try and finish up some journals, and I succeeded in finishing the Dina Wakley one. That was fabulous. That was a great feeling, finishing that monstrosity of a journal. This is another one that I was really trying to finish by the end of 2018, and I decided on this day to just dive in. There were quite a few pages that had little pockets and small pages with them, so I was going to just do a big session and try and get as many done as I could. So we're doing 9 pages today. There's a lot. This first one, off camera, I stuck down a whole lot of green washi tapes on the left, trying to embrace the green, and I made this just before Christmas, and I was feeling slightly festive with the green, I'm not going to lie, but it's more of an aqua kind of a spin on the colour. And then I really wanted to use this girl, a lovely subscriber sent me them, and they were planner inserts, I think, for like a ring bound planner system, and I loved how much she had red hair and she looked like me, and so all I did was I taped the side of it and then put washi tape over the top so that you couldn't see it, and I just stuck that straight over the top of that find a word page because I still really wanted to see it through the acetate. So then I've moved on to another page here, and I had a part of a retirement brochure. I had off camera just put some white gesso over the top of that at some point when I might have maybe had a little bit too much gesso on another art journal page. It's usually what happens with this bad boy. If there's ever gesso on a page, it's because I have overestimated the amount required for another project. And then I realized they have a backing protective little sheet on them. So that girl probably has one on her, and I haven't taken it off, but you can't really tell, so I'm just leaving hers, and it was very frustrating. Have you ever done that where you didn't realise until you put the adhesive on, the adhesive came straight off with it? So for this one, you could still see the text underneath, but by using this acetate piece, it really did mask it quite a lot. Now, it was a little bit too narrow, and I did that on purpose because I didn't want the thickness of the acetate right into the spine. This junk journal has too many pages, surprise, and when I made it, I didn't realize how chunky it was going to get, and so I've put too many pages in it, and it doesn't close properly. It just stays a little bit open, which is all right. It's just part of the fun. But when I did this junk journal session, I was really trying to use as little bulkiness as possible. That was my aim. Did not succeed at that, and there is quite a lot of bulkiness that goes in onto these pages, including acetate, but you can always start with good intentions. So there was a gap that I covered with washi, and I do, whenever I'm putting washi tape into my junk journal, I do usually put a bit of double-sided tape or glue underneath it, just to make sure that it actually stays stuck down, because unlike a layout, it can fall out very easily and get lost on my bookcase or wherever I store my journals. I have sped this up 8 times fast, this writing part, so I don't write this fast. Wish I did. It would make life a lot easier when I wanted to write journaling, but I'm just using my Pilot G2 pen to add some journaling here. I felt like that left-hand side needed something in the center, and I've been using, this is a camera that I think someone sent me as well, and I've been wanting to use it on a page, but it was a little large, and I've been putting it on a page, off a page, on a page, off a page, and I just decided this was the perfect spot for it, and I'm glad that I got it used because I really do like it. So this next page has this funny little bit in the middle. So this spotty peach piece in the middle is actually a paper bag and can have a little tag or something slipped into it if I wanted to, and I really liked the right hand side of this spread, as is. It was a page from a Daphne's Diary magazine, I believe, and I really loved the typewriter letters that say love and the red polka dots and the doily background, so I didn't really actually want to do anything to that side, so it worked out well in the end. I didn't actually touch that page, and I think that's the fun with junk journals, is that you can include papers and magazine images and things that you actually just like the way that they are, and you don't have to really tweak it in any way, add anything if you don't want to. So this page, I'm going to be honest, the writing doesn't really stand out. Looking back, I wish that I had maybe done some sort of paint over the top of that tissue paper. It's a bit of, I think it's Ranger, possibly Tim Holtz tissue paper stuck on the top that has that blueprinty kind of look to it. And I wasn't really happy with how it was standing out, and so I was going to go over and outline it all in white gel pen. I thought it might help, but it didn't at all, so I rubbed that off. And yeah, I'm not a huge fan of how much the writing blends into the background. I wish it stood out a little bit more, and so, but it's there now, and I don't want to go back over it because I would have to gesso the tissue paper in order for watercolor to go on properly, and I can't gesso over the top of that writing, so we're just going to go with it. Sometimes things don't work out as we planned, and I'm just all about embracing the flaws and the things that I'm not always a huge fan of in 2019. I'm going to try. So then I wanted a tag for this little bag, and so this was, I think that was a cut apart tag off a crepe paper, a piece of paper, I do believe, and then I just stapled a little fake ribbon, a little offcut of paper to the top of it, and because I stapled it, you could see the staple, so I'm just covering that up now and using some glue, just because of course staples are very bulky and the sticker wasn't going to stick flat over the top of it. I'm just pressing that down, and then I pretty much call this page done here. It was just a really fun, quick page to do, and not every page in my junk journal has to be. I feel like I put this pressure on myself that every page has to be an elaborate, multi-layered, multi-mixed mediaed. Well, that's what mixed media means, Del. Masterpiece, and sometimes it's just nice to stick and plonk some stuff together and just embrace a little bit of haphazard sticking and plonking. So that's what I gave myself, a bit of grace for that last page, and instead moved on to getting some painty things onto this page. So this was a bit of a tricky page because it's actually the first and the last page of two separate inserts, and so there is a gap in between the different signatures of these two pieces, and I wanted to somehow cover up the book, and so I thought paint is a good way to cover it up, and so I reached for my blue. I think it's is it After Midnight, or is that blue? Yeah, After Midnight I think is the Dilutions one, and so I just grabbed some of that paint in the center just because I thought it would contrast with the pinks and the blues that are already on the background, and I wanted something that was dark so that I could do some white over the top. I've grabbed my Sharpie white paint pen in the extra fine point, and I'm just doing some really sketchy, loose, flowery leaf design. I was feeling a little bit floral. When am I not feeling floral, really? But I thought it would go with the flowers. I don't know if you can see them on camera, really, but on the left-hand side, under those love letters, there's a vintagey floral pattern. So then I wanted to find some sort of quote, and I do have on Pinterest. I have a lot of borders on Pinterest. I need a bit of a Pinterest cleanse. Is anyone else having a little bit of overwhelm at the look of their Pinterest page? I haven't really gone on and sorted stuff. I just keep adding things, but not really culled and sorted things since they did an update where you can do, I think you can do subcategories within your boards, correct me if I'm wrong, and so I'm going to have a look into it. But I do have a board that I use all of the time, and it's called Quotey McQuote, and whenever I'm browsing and I see a quote that I like, I just stick it in there for later. And then when I'm doing an art journal page, I often breeze through that board, and if I don't find anything that suits the vibe of the page, I'll go search for something else and then add more things to this ever-growing Pinterest board, Quotey McQuote. I think my two most used boards that I actually refer to are that one and Nom Nom Nom, which is full of recipes that I often find at like 11 p.m. at night when I'm in bed and can't sleep, and I'm in the mood for a bit of board eating and a bit of board cooking. But I don't actually make them. I just pin them and salivate over how delicious and cheesy most of them look. So back on track, I wrote my quote out. That white gel pen is, white paint pen is a really nice white opaque one. I have been having a bit of trouble. I'm cheating a little bit because I'm using the tip from the fine tip one in just a fine paint pen, and so the tip is it's on its last legs. It's a little bit fuzzy, and that's why the flower doesn't look as crisp and white as the writing. Kind of have to work it a little bit and pump that ink through it. So then I added some splatters, and it was just easier to use my watercolors for the splatters rather than try and water down the acrylic paint, but you could easily do that as well. I was just feeling a little bit lazy, and I'm also I felt like I needed some sprinkly bits to go with the splatters, and so I grabbed my white gel pen. That page there that I just paused at is still my favorite out of this whole journal. I think it's still my favorite. I don't know what it is about it, but it's very textury, and I think that's what it is. I don't know exactly, but I think it's because it's very textury feeling. So next up, I had a lovely subscriber sent me some Jane Davenport napkins, and so I'm just using them here. And the trick is to always pull off the backing piece of the serviette. We call them serviettes here in Australia, if you ever hear me say that, but I know other places call them napkins. And the trick is always pull off that backing piece so that you've just got one layer, and that's how you'll get the best stickage to your page. And I thought I'd be a bit shifty here and do a bit of a sneaky, and those faces fit perfectly on one side of the page, and so I thought I would just fold it over and use it for the other side as well. I ripped this girl's poor eye, but that's okay, we're just pretending that didn't happen. I'm using some Liquitex matte gel medium to stick that down. It's nice and wet so that it really adheres the serviette to the page and soaks through it's not fabric, of course, it's paper. Yeah, paper. Soaks through the paper really well. Just using my heat gun to dry that up, and I accidentally did heat the window of that envelope that's next to it a little bit, and it got a little bit crinkly, but I'm okay with that. I didn't want to put anything under the serviettes on the paper, just because one side had this graph note paper that I really love, and the other page had some lined paper as well, and I thought that was enough to add a bit of detail. Plus it helps the serviette to actually adhere if the paper is as flat as possible and doesn't have much mixed media underneath it. So then I'm drying this side, and I think I definitely want to try this again in my next junk journal, or I'm hoping to also film. I've done a couple of pages since filming this. I think I've got about 7, 8 maybe spreads to go in this junk journal, and I'm really, really hoping to do another big junk journal session soon. So you might see another one of those in the next couple of months, and I am hoping to have this journal done and dusted very, very soon. We'll see how we go. So next up, I've got this envelope page, and I actually adhered, I think I had maybe spilt something on that the front of the left-hand side of the envelope, and so I just adhered it to the page before it to cover it up. It was something, it might have been, I spilled something sticky like glue, or it was something that I couldn't cover up easily. I know that. And maybe glossy accents. I don't know what it was, but it was something that I just decided to stick that envelope to there. So I've got a pocket on the left-hand side, and then this part on the right-hand side is a little bit flappy. And I really like the look of that washi tape page that I had just before. It's a great way to actually use your washi because washi tape is a very deceptive product. I think it's one of, if scrapbook products and supplies had personalities, washi tape would be very mischievous because it fools you to thinking that you're almost finished a roll, but those rolls last and last and last forever. And so I really want to try and use my washi tape because it doesn't have a lifelong, what word am I looking for? Infinite. It doesn't have an infinite shelf life. That's the word. I'm losing all of my words. And especially here we're in the Aussie summer at the moment, and I often find every year there's some washi tape casualties that just don't make it through the 45-degree-Celsius temperature days. And so I don't know what it is. It's just the adhesive just doesn't seem to want to go on anymore, and everything just gets so sticky, and the roll just sticks to itself. It rips and comes off. So I want to go through my washi stash and find out what rolls are working and what rolls have, unfortunately, no longer have any working stickiness to them. I was wondering whether I should put that washi tape all the way across and if I should fold it over to this page as well. Now I could have cut open the side of this. Actually, no, I've got a flap at the top. So I have got a little space that I can put some pockets and some tags in. I do go back later on off camera and add some more personal journaling in here. If you are making a junk journal, these pockets are great spots to put hidden journaling. You could always put a paper clip or a flap so that other people might not know that there's journaling on cards and tags inside, but you know there is, and you can always revisit it, and you don't have to worry about other people reading it. So then I'm going through, and a beautiful subscriber also sent me some Jane Davenport washi tapes, so I'm using some of those on this page as well as some of my fave pink stash. I then had these girls left over from that other page, and I was trying to figure out if I could use them here, if I could stick them at the top or the bottom, how I could make them work, just because I know that a little piece of serviette like that will get crumpled and lost unless I use it in this session. Unless I use it, it's just going to become a crinkled mess and just not work anymore. But it doesn't get used right now. I recently cleaned out and then ruined all my cleaning. My Alex drawers. Now, if you've watched my craft room tour on YouTube, they used to be really useful, and now they're my shove drawers. We all have that junk drawer somewhere. In my craft room, I have a junk box in my Calyx unit. I've allowed myself one box tub container where I shove things, and unfortunately the Alex drawers have become a bit of a casualty in my constant craft room moving, and they haven't been set up properly. So I'm really trying these summer holidays to get some use out of them and use them properly again, because they're a great crafty source. And I was cleaning out some of the drawers, which are now again filled with things, unfortunately, and I found this tag that I made. So it's the original that I then scanned and used as a Patreon printable. I'd have to say maybe March last year. So it's an old one. And I found the original. So I really often, I make the things for Patreon and I use the printables version. I don't actually use the original. And so whenever I find them, there's going to be a lot more, I guarantee, shoved in these Alex drawers that I haven't discovered yet. And I'm going to try and really use them in my junk journal, because they're the perfect spot to just put a little tag or a little embellishment or a little something or other. So then I am going to go back, don't forget, and add some journaling inside that envelope. But I wanted to add something to the outside here, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. Now, it was a little silly to do this, and I knew it when I was doing it. But the problem was, there's a plastic window on this envelope, which I didn't want to stamp on. B, as you can see, the left-hand side of this journal, it's at a 45-degree angle, and things weren't stamping evenly because there's so much bulkiness and lumpiness underneath the page. And so I did a bit of stamping, and it didn't really come out the way that I wanted to, so I just quickly turned the page and move on to something new. And I think that sometimes I get hooked a little bit on trying to finish the page immediately and worrying that it has to be in its finished state before moving on to something else. And I think that's just because of the way that I film my process videos. Usually it's just on YouTube, it's just a double page spread, and that's it. And so I feel like the page has to be done before I film the next video. Whereas this was it was kind of a bit more freeing and a little bit more fun in that I could just move on to the next page, and then if I wanted to go back to something, I really easily could. So I think you'll see a few more of these types of videos over here during this year. And let me know if you do enjoy seeing this type of process that's a bit more deep, I guess, doing several pages at once rather than just the one. And it also, I found it was helpful to finish half done pages as well. So these two little bits, as I've been yakking on, are some DIY embellishments. So that one there I made in the Halloween DIY embellishments video last October. And then the other one was the reused, recycled clothing tags. And so I really do want to film maybe towards the middle of this year another one of those recycled tag videos, because I really have been getting a lot of use out of them. And I also just need some more DIY embellishments in my stash. I'm kind of running through them at the moment. I need to do a big Project Life couch scrapping session actually, and to make that as quick as I can, DIY embellishments really do come in handy. So then on this page, I have complained many a time about the growing size of ephemera, mainly from American crafts. It's getting larger and larger, and I know that it's easier to manufacture larger pieces, probably easier to cut. It doesn't have to be as intricate. However, it's harder, I'm finding, to use on my scrapbook pages. These houses are something that they take up a lot of room, and this size is often the size of my photo, and so I don't always feel as comfortable using large embellishments with a photo that are even larger than the photo that I'm actually scrapbooking. And maybe in this year I can have a challenge yourself episode on large ephemera pieces, because they are something that give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit and make me very frustrated. It's the best way to put it. So junk journals are a great way to use up those large embellies if you're also struggling with that. I'm going through this sticker book that a beautiful subscriber sent me. I was going through some happy mail that I have received over the last 12 months, I'd say, actually, not 6 months, 12 months. And I have a tub with some bits and pieces that I've been sent, and I was going through and adding them to my stash and having a bit of a play with some lines that I don't often play with. Chamel is not one that I often get. Her things are just sometimes not my style. I like several pieces from the collection, but often not enough to buy like the entire paper pack or paper pad, or but this sticker book has a lot of cute things in it. It also has a lot of cute pieces that I think I'll be able to use for Archie's first year album, which I still have to make. I will get there eventually. One day before he's 18, he will have a 1 year album. So I've gone back to this page now, once again grabbing one of those giant ephemera pieces that I love, but it's just too big for me to use comfortably. I could use it on a scrapbook page, but I just don't feel as comfortable. I think that's the that's the game. That's the end of the game. So then I had some stars, and I'm putting them over the top of the plastic envelope, which I really liked, and that's something that I definitely am going to do again. I don't know if my last junk journal, I know I had envelopes in it, but I don't know if they had windows in them. It's very rare these days that we actually get mail. Everything just becomes paperless these days, and a lot of places actually charge you extra to get mail. I know my bank charges, I think it's an extra $1.50, $2 a month to receive your monthly bank statement in the post, as opposed to digitally through the app, which is a little sneaky of them, I think, and I didn't realize that for a long time until I think I went into an actual bank, which I don't often do, and they told me, so I made sure to cancel that. But then on the downside, I don't get to include as many lovely envelopes in my junk journals. So then I had this page, and this page it had a little bit of the embossing on the left hand side that you can see there has kind of smooshed, and so I wanted to cover that up a little bit, and I wanted to keep the left hand side says, I think, have a good day, and I wanted to keep that just because I like the font. I also wanted to keep the notebooky feel to the top of the page. This was it was a calendar page actually, out of the Mamby Happy Planner. I didn't use that. I think I bought it after some of the months have been passed, so I just put them automatically into my collage papers. That tag is also one of the old Inkie printables, the original. This, I really love the way that this one turned out. I was just experimenting with a bit of a different writing style of typography, and I really love this font, so you might see some more things written this way. I might even try, I don't know how well this side will scan, but I might, if I can, try and make it a printable for either January or February, and see if I can scan it. It was just a nice J.K. Rowling quote in there. And then I felt like, of course, I needed a bit of a doodly little elements in there, so I'm just using my gel pen to add some bits and pieces. I think that, like I said before, it's important to kind of give ourselves grace sometimes to make a page without having the final masterpiece mindset. And I am number one guilty of this all of the time, of thinking that every art journal page or junk journal page has to be complicated in the actual process. But sometimes it can be as easy as slapping on a bit of paint, writing a nice quote, or using some alphabet stickers to put a quote down, printing one off the internet, sticking it in, and then sticking down a pre-made DIY embellishment and calling it done. And I think that I'm really going to try in 2019. Help me out. I do need you to be my cheer squad to help me to get. It's hard to get out of a mindset once you get in there. And I think because I don't often do a lot of art journaling off camera. I do quite a bit of scrapbooking off camera, but most of the art journaling that I do is filmed. And so I think that's just the way that I think that a page has to be done. Can we talk about this strange panda lady for a moment and the strange cat lady? Now, they're very, very cute, but it's kind of disturbing me that the panda is so tall and lanky, because that's not my picture of a panda. I was tempted to decapitate this poor panda lady and just use the panda head, because the body was just, I don't know, it was just making me feel a little bit uncomfortable. It was just not what I was expecting. But I decided to use her on this page because the I have to use her, otherwise she's just going to hang around and just haunt my dreams by staying in my stash. B, I thought that the black and white of her face, obviously, really connected with the black and white of the left-hand side, and there's a little bit of green poking out, even though it's not the same green. There's a bit of green, and I just really wanted to use her because it. Let me know, have you used the Panda Lady? If you have, I think this is could be Willow Lane or could be Gather. No, I think it's Willow Lane. Let me know if you have used the Panda Lady or the Cat Lady and how you use them, because they baffled me a little bit, I will admit. So then I'm going through, and this, like I've said before, I'm really trying to use up the leftover bits that get neglected, shoved in a bowl, shoved in a pretty dish, and neglected. I'm being honest, they're not my go-tos. And so these stars were left over from a page that I made for Spellbinders ages ago, and I wanted to use them up on a page, and I thought this was a good one to do because there's already stars on the left hand side and then there's gold on the right hand side, so gold stars are guaranteed to blend in and coordinate with everything else. I'm also trying to use up my tiny word stickers this year, and I have quite a lot of leftover tiny word stickers from those beautiful Tim Holtz sets that I love, but they're sometimes phrases that sound a little strange on a scrapbook page, and I think that art journaling is a lot more suited to the ones that I've got left over. So I'm all finished. So I'll give you a little look. I did that Christmas page close to doing the rest of these. I filmed it on the same day. But I have about 8, I think, or so pages to go. This was really fun. It was a different kind of vibe when I was making these pages, and I felt a bit more free to use my supplies and kind of experiment with some maybe neglected pieces from my stash, like my washi or the lonely little embellishments. Thanks for watching today, guys. We'll be hopefully back in a couple of months with another one of these, finishing this off. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.